Hello, everybody. I'm Shaquita Graham, founder of AtechoWeb.com, and I'm here with the lovely Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses of SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. How are you doing today, Noma?
I'm doing great, Shaquita. How are you?
Good. We have a topic that we love to talk about, which is marriage, since we've both been married over 10 years, and we're going to kind of use the scenario that Keshia Knight Pulliam is going through to just kind of discuss some important aspects of marriage. I just want to say, first of all, that I absolutely love Keshia Knight Pulliam, and I feel bad about what she and Ed Hartwell are going through, and I really wish them the best, and I'm not trying to, disrespect either one of them. But let's jump into it. We have a clip of what's been going on here. Oops, wrong one. Let's see. There we go. So I'm going to share my screen and look at the little video that was at ET.
Well, let's just go on the record. Did you cheat on him during your marriage?
I have never cheated on him during my marriage. That's not who I am.
You said you will have a paternity test.
That's not an issue. Sure. There's no problem. I've never been unfaithful to my husband. This is his daughter. It's one thing when you choose to be in the spotlight. It's another thing when you have a baby.
Oh, my heart is breaking for her.
And it's not about me. The biggest thing and my priority is she doesn't deserve it.
Keshia was emotional and raw when I visited her this afternoon in her Atlanta home. The giant square-cut diamond ring she once wore proudly is gone. And get ready for this. Keshia told me she's not the one who cheated. She claims her husband was.
So when early in my marriage I was faced with this, I was ready to leave. I had divorce papers ready. I presented them to him. He begged for another. He said, please, I want my family. He said all of the right things. And once I was pregnant, I did decide to give him that one last chance.
So let's catch everyone up on the facts.
Okay, so that's Keshia's side, everybody. Let's hear from a source that spoke about Ed Hartwell's side, and this is from an article at Bossa. And they say an Ed Hartwell source spoke to people and said that the couple is just not able to agree or see eye to eye on anything. The source says that Hartwell is very old-fashioned in marriage beliefs and how couples should make decisions together. And it seems Keshia is more interested in remaining a successful independent businesswoman than baking cookies and being a submissive wife. And let me see, I want to add too, he talked about the baby. And it says that the source said that he had told her that he wanted to wait before having a baby, and things got really bad between them, and she pops up pregnant. Okay. All right. So Nomalanga, what say you about this?
Well, first of all, I think I mentioned that I did a Facebook Live a couple of days ago discussing this very, evolving and ever so complicated story. And one of the first things that I said was, this woman is pregnant. And I would have hoped that the divorce would not happen right in the middle of a pregnancy because, I'm a mom, you're a mom, and even if you're not a woman who's gone through a pregnancy, you should have heard by now that your personality does tend to shift when you're pregnant. And for some people, it's a drastic change. And once you've had the baby, you do kind of revert to yourself. So if he is, jumping ship in the middle of a pregnancy, that really made me wonder, is he dealing with somebody who's having a volatile pregnancy and he's just trying to get away from all of it? And if so, I think that's not a good decision. That's just one point. There's obviously many more.
Absolutely. There's a lot that can be talked about because, we both believe in marriage. I believe in lifelong love. I believe that Black marriage is revolutionary. And my heart goes out to the both of them because they have to go through this in the public eye. It's very, we have these challenges in marriage. And I do think that the pregnancy, the newness of the marriage, all of that is normal and common. But because they're celebrities, it's all out in the spotlight. So I think that there is, like you said, a lot of things going on. What I see here is them just going through the normal things. I think they're going through, I mean, I wouldn't say cheating is in the first 7 months is normal, but, definitely struggling, trying to adapt to one another, trying to cope with building a life together. I think that these are normal things. And I think that, I'm just looking at it again. I'm speculating. I've seen these kinds of things before, but I'm just bringing up the topics that I see in scenarios like this. With him have been married before, I think that he's getting a little gun shy. Her being new at marriage, I think she's probably a little overly excited, and she may have, I don't know if they rushed into a pregnancy or she rushed into a pregnancy. Those are some things that happen at times. So those are some of the things that come up for me first, but I think they're jumping out of the marriage too fast. Definitely. I think that they should be trying to make it work.
Right.
What about you?
When you mentioned that this is his second marriage, I thought you were going to go a different way with it. And just mentioned that, the probability of a second marriage working is much, much, much lower than that of a first marriage working. So, that's something that you have to consider when you marry somebody who's been married before. The probability of failure goes up much more. The second thing that I also wanted to bring up is that these are two celebrities. And one thing that people sometimes don't think about and don't consider about celebrity relationships and what may make them not work is, think about him. Was he a football star? Is that what? Yeah.
And he was on Real Housewives of Atlanta too as a cast member.
Right. So you have to understand that these are the kind of people who are used to really being adored and showered with attention and being the center of attention. And she's been a star since she was, 4 years old? Mm-hmm. And again, we adored her, we loved her because or what we knew of her. So these are people who are used to just being adored and showered with attention. Sometimes not necessarily because they deserve it, but because they project something that people love. Now you turn this around and put these two people into a marriage. And I said it the other day when I was doing this live, and I'll say it again. Marriage is a service position. That is in sharp contrast to somebody who's used to being served, adored, and loved just for being you, just because you act well or because you run fast or whatever. I'm not a sports fan, so whatever you do on the football field, people love you for that. And I'm not saying it doesn't take a lot of talent and grit and hard work to be successful in their respective careers, but marriage is a whole nother field. And if you don't go into it understanding, or if you go into it and you don't get that quick learning curve that this is a service position, it's going to be hard. In fact, it's going to be impossible. You cannot do it if you don't understand that there's servanthood in it.
Yeah, and I do, before I make some additional comments on what you said, I do want to bring up the fact that in that interview, she said that she wasn't a side chick because, Ed Hartwell was married to Lisa Wu before he divorced Lisa, and then was became married to Keshia Knight, Pulliam. So she said she was never a side chick and never would be. And I tend to believe her. But, the thing is that the same kind of commitment that they have in their careers, you kind of need that for marriage. Not kind of, you need that for marriage. And this is the thing they're lacking. And I think that if people could get past this stage, it's not, because people look at something like this and they say, this is why I would never get married, because look at these people, they've got everything and they're getting divorced in 7 months. And I would say to someone like that is to understand that the benefits of marriage are so hard to even quantify for me. It's like the best thing that, I've ever,
been a part of.
Yes, been a part of. It's everything. It's beautiful. Now, 13 years in, it's kind of like building a garden. You got to dig in the dirt, plant the seeds, dig out the weeds, and then people walk around and see all the beautiful flowers, and it just looks wonderful and it smells rosy. That's where I'm at in my marriage now. But I had that time when I was on my knees with no gardening gloves, digging in the dirt, planting seeds. And
hoping for rain, hoping for sunshine.
Rain, getting some bugs eating up some plants. So if people in marriage can get over that place in time, and I wish this for Keshia Knight Pulliam, they can go on to have that beautiful garden, if you will, of a marriage.
Absolutely, I agree with you. One of the things that she wanted to correct was what you mentioned, that she was never anybody's side piece. She also wanted to correct the fact that, and we heard it in that little clip, that she has never cheated. And I think that she certainly wanted to keep her business private, but when she saw it going out of control and the narrative was, look at her, he says he wants a paternity test, and that implies that she was doing something she shouldn't have been doing, a very obvious thing, and she could have been impregnated by somebody else. You know, what I take from that is, one of the things that I say a lot about marriage is, in the heat of the moment, when you're angry or upset or it's rough, watch your mouth, you know, because he can't take back the fact that he, on a national stage, implied that his wife was cheating, basically. He can't take back the fact that he attacked her character in the worst way possible. And if he had just shut his mouth, it wouldn't be so volatile and it wouldn't be so scandalous. So that going forward, when it's time to repair or trying to find a way, a common ground, and move forward, these are things that start to come into play. These are now hurts that have to be healed. These are now blemishes that may never go away. So I just really need people to understand that you have to watch that mouth. You really have to watch that mouth, because technically, even if he's angry, even if he's on his way to divorce court or the city hall or wherever they file divorces, the fact of the matter is, when he woke up that morning, that was his wife. And you don't talk about your wife like that. And you don't treat your wife like that. And the same applies to her, which I have a lot of respect for her, because she did not say horrible things about him. She just went on and said, look, my name is being dragged through the mud. I tried to be quiet, but I have to correct some things here.
And she wanted to protect her baby.
Right.
So the thing is, so I just want to mention the fact that I think I saw a report that he came out and said he doesn't think she cheated, but he just wants to go through this procedure. And I think this is, again, coming from him having been in a marriage before that was very high profile. They had like 5 businesses. Lisa Wu and Ed Hartwell had 5 businesses together. They had children together. They had money problems. So I don't know if he's trying to do damage control. Not to say that I'm, taking up for him. And I just want to say on Facebook Live, Destiny says that Keshia brought this on herself. She pretended that she was perfect, and she went behind Lisa Wu's back and married her ex-husband. And Lisa Wu was crying and upset. So I don't know if those if that is true because of what Keshia's saying, but I did see pictures of Keshia Knight Pulliam and Lisa Wu together.
Yes, I did too.
I'm assuming that was before she married her ex-husband. Aside from that, again, I think that, like, when we look at Ed, the source from Ed Hartwell's comments, he said something about Keshia not being ready to be a so-called submissive wife. And he used the terms of baking cookies and so on and so forth. She wanted to really focus on her career and all of these things. And Ed wasn't ready to have a baby. I mean, what do you think about those comments in relation to what you see in marriages, surviving or falling apart in general?
One of the things, and it's a little comical, but I really don't believe that you should take, a cat shove it in your house and start asking it to bark. You know, so I think he knew what he was getting. Okay, you can't take a beautiful, successful, career-oriented woman and within 7 months expect her to have converted into a Stepford wife. Now, on the flip side of that, I talk a lot about this. You know, I'm a businesswoman. I'm in charge a lot, especially when I was working outside of the home. However, I do have a sound mind, and I understand that all those things and those hats that I wear in those roles don't apply when I'm in our home, my marital home. That's a whole nother thing that I'm dealing with, and I can't apply the same skills and the same attitude and the same way of functioning in my marriage that I would apply when I'm the boss at work, or I'm the college professor, or whatever else, or even when I'm the mom. So again, this is only 7 months in, you know. Maybe she was still adapting to her new situation. Maybe she doesn't even know how. But gosh, why don't people take time to set expectations and make requests? Just simple requests. You know, I would like this to happen, and then give the person time to adapt and to give you what you want.
And to kind of speak to what you're saying, people tend to not do that is because they take ignorance for malice, right? When you're in a marriage, you start taking things that a person does out of ignorance as malice.
Right.
And you're not being patient. And what I see again with these two, or in similar scenarios, is that they haven't given it enough time to get in the rhythm of one another. Right. And that is, like they say, that honeymoon phase. I just wish that somehow people could, because I really want to see Black marriages survive, and I want to see, and I wish theirs could survive. I believe that it could if they really wanted to. But if people could understand that there's going to be a season that's very difficult in the beginning, and they are on two different wavelengths. He has been in a marriage before. He has almost, if they're not grown, there are teens, you know, in their late teens. And he's been in 5 businesses with his ex-wife. And he's been on a Real Housewives of Atlanta show. Then you have Keshia on the other end, who's been going, you know, getting degrees of Spelman, working, you know, she's has
been a child star most of, you know, her childhood.
Yeah, she's beautiful, she's successful, but she doesn't have any kids, and she's never been married. I question even having friendships with people who don't have kids or have been married, because those relationships refine you. They make you a better person. And, you know, maybe Ed was just like, you know what? She's not ready for this. She's too young. You know, she's too inexperienced. I don't know if I can make this work. And maybe she was like, you know, she's like a new puppy, just wagging her tail in marriage and just going and going. Let's have the baby. Let's do this. Let's do that. And he's like, no, I want to make sure this is working. And I need you to kind of slow down and get on the same page with me. You know, I'm not blaming either one, but I'm just talking about some things that I could see. If I was a marriage counselor, I would be looking at in these two, in their scenario, just their backgrounds.
Right. You know, like you said, we can only speculate, and we can extrapolate some points and hope that discussing them will help other people be able to look at things differently and not necessarily focus on Keshia and Ed, and talk more in general about marriage and some of the pitfalls, you know. So, you know, one of the things that a lot of people were really focusing on was the fact that they got married very quickly. I personally don't see anything wrong with that, because the funny thing is the stages are there regardless of whether you've known that person 5 years or you've known them a few months. You're still going to go through that honeymoon phase and that high optimism and that excitement. And then, you know, one day it slaps you in the face that all those things you're projecting onto that person may not have been real. And then you deal with the real person. You have the power struggle. And, you know, it looks like they're at that power struggle phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move on to the next phase where you start negotiating and learning and adapting. And then eventually you wind into another phase, which hopefully most people will get to, but people don't even make it there. They just come out of that honeymoon phase. They go into that power struggle phase and things end there. And that's very sad.
Okay, so we've said quite a bit, and there's a lot more to say. That's why we're going to continue on Facebook Live. But I want to thank everybody for joining us right now at Your Black World. And I think that, you know, my prayers and my wishes, my best wishes go out to Keshia Knight Pulliam, her pregnancy, her husband, her husband, as he is right now, he's her husband, Ed Hartwell. And I hope that they can repair their marriage. I really hope that they can, especially for the sake of their child. And I don't really have much more to say than that. Noma, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to remind our viewers that we're working on our platform, Married Women's Business. You can sign up for it, and we'll let you know when it goes live. It's at marriedwomensbusiness.com. And of course, keep supporting my sister here at techcoweb.com. And of course, my website is successfulblackwoman.com. And thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for watching.